Does the thought of going to work on Monday morning make you want to rub your eyes with stinging nettles? Well, you're not alone. More than 50% of the people I speak with feel the same, but are too afraid to quit their job. And after placing more than 250 professionals into six-figure roles, I've seen what staying too long actually costs you. So in this video, I'm going to show you the 5 signs it's time to leave your job and the 90-day plan to do it properly. So I want you to imagine you're sitting on a long-haul flight. There's no turbulence, the food was fine, nothing went wrong, but 7 hours in, you're uncomfortable, you're restless, you're drained. Nothing is broken, but you know you don't want to be there anymore. But that's how most people describe their jobs before they eventually leave. And because nothing is on fire, they stay too long in the job they know they should have left. So when I speak to my clients, we use a simple test. And it's called LEAVE. It stands for learning, energy, advancement, values, and external pull. And it's a 5-step test that you can use. Because if you recognize 3 or more, you're not stuck, you're actually choosing to stay. So let's go through them. And even if a small part of you already feels like this might be you, comment the word LEAVE below and I'll send you the full test and you can apply it to your situation. Because most people, they don't need convincing. They actually need permission to leave the role. Okay, so let's start with learning. The market does not reward your past. It only rewards what you can do next. And I once worked with an ops manager who had spent 12 years in the same company. He was brilliant at his job. He knew every system, every process, every workaround. But when I asked him what he'd actually learned in the last 18 months, he went quiet. And that pause, it told me everything, because the real question is not, are you good at your job? The real question is your job still upgrading you? Because if your job isn't building new capability in you, it's slowly making you less valuable. And that's exactly what my client Jeremy discovered. He'd been coasting for 10 years in the same role. And within 90 days of working with me, he landed a director level position, paying 25K more. Okay, so moving on, next is energy. So here's a test I want you to do. Sunday evening, around 6 p.m. How do you feel? Because people in the right role, they feel maybe neutral, maybe even ready for the week. But the people in the wrong role, they feel something heavier. Not panic, but just flat. And I once had a client, a senior supply chain director, who told me she started setting her alarm 15 minutes later every Monday. Not because she needed more sleep, but because 15 fewer minutes of being awake, knowing what was coming at work. And that's not a bad week, that's an erosion. And you might be able to fake motivation for a while, but your energy, you can't fake that. And if your job is draining your ambition, that's sign number 2. And the problem isn't that you hate your job, it's that you've just stopped bringing your best to it. And this is where most people ignore the signal. Because if you felt even one of these so far, this is where some people talk themselves out of leaving. Okay, next, A is about advancement. Because a promotion is a title, but advancement, that's trajectory. Can your manager clearly explain what the next level actually looks like and what you need to do to prove that you deserve that spot and how long it should take you? Because if not, you don't have a growth plan. You have hope at best. And I've seen people wait 3 years for the right time in companies where the role above them just didn't exist. The budget didn't exist, or just even the intention didn't exist. And that's not a situation to fix. That's a situation to leave. Because if there's no clear path, you're not progressing, you're parked. Okay, next. So V is about values. And this is the one that most people underestimate, because a values mismatch doesn't make work annoying. It changes who you become inside the role, because you stop speaking honestly in meetings. You stop pushing for better outcomes and you stop giving that extra 10%, not because you've become lazy, but because it just doesn't matter anymore to you. And when your effort stops changing anything, you stop giving it. So ask yourself this: do you actually trust how decisions get made there? Not whether you agree with them, but whether you even respect the process. Because if the answer is no, consistently, that's sign number 4. Because when you stop caring how things are done, you've already mentally checked out. And they call it quietly quitting. Okay, so moving on. E is for external pull. And this is the one people actually avoid. Because external pull means the market is starting to notice you. Maybe better roles, more scope, higher pay. But instead of you exploring it, you just keep saying, now's not the right time. Now, I once worked with a VP who got approached 3 times in 6 months for a CFO level role. And 3 times, but every time he said no. And when I asked him what he was actually waiting for, he couldn't answer, because he wasn't waiting for the right time. He was actually waiting for permission. But the thing to remember is this: External pull is the market telling you. It's telling you you have options. But the question is whether you act on them or not. And that's sign number 5. Because when the market keeps calling you and you keep ignoring it, that's not timing. That's fear. So let's bring this all together. Learning. Have you stopped growing? Energy. Has it drained? Advancement. Is there a real path here? Values. Do you still respect how things work? And external pull. Is the market trying to move you? So if you have got 3 or more, you already know. And at this point, this is where most people make the next mistake. They decide to leave. And then they completely mess up what happens next. They apply for the wrong roles. They position themselves badly, or worse, they get interviews, but lose out at the final stage. Because leaving your job isn't the hard part. Getting hired at the next level is. So if you want to land a 6-figure job in 2026, watch this video right here. I'm going to walk you through it step by step.